Hey, Kate. So, someone in our Facebook group made a joke saying that you never finish books. So, I'm just curious, have you finished any books lately?
So I believe the last Audible ad was talking about Blackout, and no, I haven't finished that one. I often don't finish books, but I don't feel bad because I'm just listening. I'm currently listening to a book on emotional childhood neglect called Running on Empty, and if you guys sign up to audibletrial.com/Seltzer Squad, you can get your first month for free and listen to books haphazardly like we do.
The best part about listening to a book on Audible is like it's kind of like a podcast. You can drop it at any time and pick it up anytime. So, definitely use our promo code and get your first month free.
Hey squad, Natalie here, producer and editor for Seltzer Squad. I'm just here to let you know that this week, unfortunately, Kate and Jes had to take a week off and there will not be a new episode this week. However, we wanted to make sure you had some content, so we're trying something a little bit different. This is a classic episode, a vault episode, if you will. And hopefully this is some of your first time listening to it. This is episode 9, the one where we talk about Friends. It released just about 3 years ago in January of 2019. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully this is some of your first time listening to it. Enjoy.
Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Zander and Jes Valentine.
Hey, Kate.
Hi, Jess.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What do you want to talk about today?
Let's talk about Friends.
Yes, let's talk about Friends. The show? Right.
No, friends.
Actual friends?
In real life.
I don't have any of
Friends or
those.
no friends in real life, I guess.
Yeah.
Friendship in sobriety.
What should be a happy conversation is actually a big bummer.
It's a bummer at first, right?
I think so. I think when you're getting sober for the first time.
Or the second or the third or the
Right.
fourth.
Okay. I should
whatever.
say when you, right. Let me rephrase that. When you go sober, the first few weeks or months can be very tricky. And I feel like it's very eye-opening as to who your real friends are as opposed to who are just bar buddies. And you have to be prepared to lose friendships. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But for every friendship that you lose, you'll make a stronger connection with somebody else. But it does suck, and you mourn those friendships. At least I still am mourning friendships, and I've only been sober this time around for a few months. But it's sad. It sucks. Not everything about going sober is fucking awesome. A lot of it
Did you
sucks.
realize that right away? Or you knew to expect it again?
I knew to expect it after relapsing because, well, yes and no. I mean, you definitely notice who kind of pulls back and doesn't reach out anymore. Obviously, this time for me it was a little different because I made some really, really shitty choices in my relapse, which resulted in me hurting a friend.
Sure.
And therefore, since we ran in the same friend group, I lost a lot of our mutual friends because they sided with her, which is understandable. Some of it is, I'm sure, a combination of a shitty thing that I did and also, well, Jess doesn't drink anyway and she did this shitty thing, so why would I reach out to her? So I think that's one thing. You definitely find out who your real friends are, who your support system is. And I think it's really important to treasure those friendships and not take them for granted because they can be, taken away in 2 seconds. How about you? Have you found that you have leveled out, weeded out the shitty friends versus the actual good friends, not your, was it fair weather friends?
Yeah, my phone stopped ringing at the beginning, and that was hard the first time after relapse. I kind of knew what to expect, like you. I kind of let it happen. My friendship circle now is way smaller than it used to be, but the quality is way higher than it used to be. I think for the first year, people kind of leave you out, and then people started kind of including me in things again. It's like we're not really super close friends anymore, but I'll still get invited and included. And I do enjoy going and catching up from time to time, but they're not like people I call in a crisis or people when I call when I have really great news. I lost a lot of friends. And then even in the last year, I guess I had to take a harder look at my closer circle of friends to kind of really evaluate, are they adding or taking away to my sobriety and my life and, all the things. It's definitely changed. And I would say my circle is now way small.
Yeah, I find that when you tell people that you're not drinking, sometimes they'll either try to justify and be like, no, you can have a drink. That's not really a friend.
No.
That's not someone who's supporting your decision, supporting you bettering yourself.
No.
And in the end, it's a detrimental friendship because you recognize that you have a problem and they see that you recognize this, but they don't care to help you.
Sure.
They just still want to be part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely noticed who does that as opposed to who doesn't. And then you got your friends who are very kind and will support you no matter what you decide, even if they know you're making the wrong choice. They'll be like, well, if you're going to have a drink, okay. But you know,
Want
they don't
you to be safe.
Yeah, they don't want you to drink.
Sure. You
But-
can always kind of tell when you tell somebody that you quit drinking, and if they kind of encourage you that it was the wrong decision, then they're not your friend. And if it's a person that you tell that you quit drinking and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you, then you know they're on your side.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I found it.
Absolutely. Even if they still drink, like who
Mhm.
cares? You know, a lot of people, when they still drink, they get weird about it. And it's like, dude, our friendship shouldn't be based off of alcohol.
Mhm.
That's not a friendship. It's a common denominator. It's a hobby, but it's not what this should be based off of.
Yeah.
So there's that. Also, I have noticed that sober people are so quick to open up their arms to other sober people. I can't even tell you, you know, the amount of people that are like, oh, well, I can give you this so-and-so's phone number and you can call them at any time. And one time I did, and this girl was so fucking nice. And it's like, you don't know me. I'm a complete garbage person. And you were being so nice to me and it made me feel so good. And I find that a lot with sober people. Like I said, my friend has gone sober recently and she has all these people reaching out to her. She had gone to an AA meeting and met a bunch of people. I would say she got like 9 phone numbers that night as a newcomer, and they reach out to her all the time. I don't really have that, but I do have people that I can call. But if I wanted to have that, I could have that in like the snap of a finger.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's so interesting, and it's so nice to have people that support you and they don't even know you.
Totally. And what's cool about that is that there are people from all different walks of life rather than like our normal crew in the, you know, normal geographical location going to the same bars. We're kind of all into the same stuff. Like now the AA crew is solid when it comes to support because when I was going to meetings, I had one woman call me every single night and check in on me. Like
Wow.
whether or not I answered, she would leave a message and she would just be, you know, at least one kind soul who I barely knew who would reach out and just was concerned about me. And now in sobriety, I have so many friends from all different backgrounds, and some of them are sober and some of them aren't. But it really kind of took me out of the vacuum of just the places that I frequented and the, you know, fair weather friends that I would see there. I don't have to give them space or energy anymore or be concerned with what's going on with them. And instead, it's like real people have my back and they're into all different things, which means I get exposed to all different things and meet even cooler people. It's kind of where it's at now.
People that you never would even think to
Mhm.
like speak to.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I definitely find that sober people can be pretty awesome. Very, very supportive. Not to say that your regular friends that you made organically can't be that, but it is nice to kind of have someone else that understands a little bit what you're going through
Mhm.
and just to like be there, not even knowing you is just so kind. And it's weird, you know, even if you don't become friends with these people, you know, someone that you called once when you were struggling, but you remember it for years. You know, I
Totally.
can totally tell you people that have like, I don't want to use the word touched me, but shut up. But you know, who have made like a little imprint on my brain and they don't even know it.
Mhm.
And it's just by being kind and open and friendly. And yes, my friend circle has also dwindled, but the friendships that I have now are so good. And I feel so fortunate
Mhm.
for some of the friendships I have. And I don't even feel like I deserve it. I know that sounds weird,
Mhm.
but yeah, like you know, my one friend, Steph, for example, she's one of those people that you can count on, drop of a hat, like, I need this. Okay.
Mhm.
You know, like she will do anything. And I just feel so privileged and lucky to have friends like that. And I'd much rather have 3 good friends than 30 shitty friends,
Yeah.
which is what I had. I didn't really have quality in friendships, and now I do. So in one way, being a total drunk and then coming from that has been a blessing because I've realized who my real friends are.
And it's nice to kind of circle back with, you know, maybe those people that you were close with prior, and it's nice to still have those check-ins occasionally, but it's nice to kind of know their limits
Yeah.
as a friend, which is something that kind of like even in therapy I've had to work through of like, you know, when you're kind of growing and your social circle isn't growing, that doesn't mean you have to completely cut them out, but you just have to kind of understand their capacity for being a friend. And so I think once I adjusted my expectations of like, okay, of my best friends, I expect this. Of my not best friends, I am tolerable of that, which means you kind of know what you're going to get when you walk into a situation. But I do love like those, you know, freaks of nature that like come in and surprise you with like how amazing of a person they are.
Yeah,
And then like
really
you said, like
step
that
up.
does leave you kind of thinking about them later and wanting to connect with them again because, you know, there's something about them that's like awesome.
You know what else is fun is when you have a drinking buddy, you guys are at the bar all the time, and then you guys kind of lose touch, and then you reconnect and you're both sober. Like kind of you and I.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like,
I was like, that is weird.
Yeah, because that's happened before.
Mhm.
And I don't know, that's just like a fun little thing that can
Yeah,
happen
that's
too.
true because you and we knew each other and we were, I would say like close acquaintances, but we weren't, I wouldn't say we were
No,
friends,
we didn't like
friends,
hang
you know?
out. Yeah.
Mhm. We would cross paths every once in a while. And I definitely think like our friendship has totally developed because of sobriety and
Yeah.
supporting one another in that. Like I was able to reach out and tell you things. You were able to reach out and tell me things. And even kind of like our third arm of our friendship, Aurora, it was kind of the glue that held
Yeah.
everybody together in the beginning of kind of being the ballsiest first one to kind of like put her neck out and say like, hey, I'm sober. I need a friend.
Yeah.
Hey, she's sober. Let's all be friends. And I think that that's also something that you kind of grow into when you're feeling a little bit more confident in your sobriety of like, putting yourself out there a little bit more. It's hard meeting friends as an adult also because
Oh my
our
God.
lives are changing. Our relationship statuses are different than they used to be. Our priorities are different. And so for me as like a 30-something woman, it's like hard to make friends. And sometimes I find myself like coming home and being like, oh my God, did I do okay? Like I really want to be friends with that person.
Yeah. I find now that I'm more open to meeting people. When I was drinking and having a conversation with a friend and then a third party would come over, I'd be like, who the fuck is this person? I don't need a fucking another friend. Like you're taking time away from me drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to like speak to you and like listen to you. But now I'm actually like, hey, like I'm not
What's
just
your story?
Yeah, I'm
bro?
not
Yeah.
just obsessing over the next sip I'm gonna have of this drink and I'm all coked up. So I'm just waiting for you to take a breath so I can talk and get a fucking word in.
Mhm.
Like now I actually like, oh, you're a person. You're like a decent human being. Let's have a conversation about something somewhat worthwhile.
Mhm.
But that's my own problem.
Exactly. And now, like in sobriety, it's funny because you're kind of looking to those other people to like bring something to the table that you didn't necessarily know before.
Yeah.
And I think you're also putting yourself in a more vulnerable place to be that third wheel that goes up to another group to be kind of odd man out. And hopefully you're like, they like me. And hopefully they're not like, who the fuck are you? You know,
Yeah.
you're kind of in that role now, which is interesting. And I just think by putting yourself out there, though, you're going to have better results than just staying with a friend group that doesn't support you. Like it's better to have like not no friends, but it's better to have way fewer friends than just friends that are kind of waiting to see you fail.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of goes with sobriety is being ready to kind of take some more risks than you may have anticipated.
Different risks.
Different risks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because nothing's going to change for you unless you change it. So if you want to make more friends, you're going to have to put yourself out there. And you have to realize that you don't have the alcohol that's going to be that crutch. Because I know for someone like myself who has social anxiety, drinking was what helped me do that. So you have to plan on being out of your comfort zone. It's just going to happen. And it sucks and it's hard, but there are always people like us that will be around to listen to you. I know for me, if anyone wants to like email me, DM me, reach out to me.
Same.
Yeah, I'll be a sounding board. Like I'm not a professional, but I totally will
Here to
be
give
there.
you support.
Absolutely. And I know that we both have that. But for someone who's starting out on their sober journey, they might not have that. And I just don't want anyone to ever feel secluded or alone or like they can't reach out. So I want to be that person who people feel like they can come to.
Exactly. That's why we started the podcast.
It is. Thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast. Please follow us on Instagram at Seltzer Squad Pod if you do not. And if you want to contact us, please go to our website, seltzersquad.com, and write to us.
Until we meet again, be nice to yourself.
And don't forget,
Hangovers suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.